Well, hello again, YouTube. We just finished our delivery and we made it back over to the Love truck stop about 8 miles away from where we delivered. It's the exit 149 I-40 in New Mexico. It's a real nice, clean, fairly new Love's, but there's very limited parking. And I got over here early enough that I was able to get parked, so that's a good thing. Wanted to do a quick little review, or my 2 cents, on the Garmin DEZL Cam 785 LMT-S. It is, and I'll do some pictures here directly so you can see it. It's really bad lighting. That's a little bit of it, but just to show you the numbers, DEZL Cam 785 LMT-S. So it is a GPS / dash camera. I needed a new dash cam and I needed a new GPS, and so I saw this, I read the reviews on it, and I've had it for about a month and a half now. It's pretty handy. It has a whole ton of other features. It can be set up with the Garmin E-log system. I'll read to you what it has here. It does the truck stop alerts. It alerts you to state lines, way stations, things like that. It has a lot of built-in services, and it updates via Wi-Fi. I strictly use it for a GPS and a dash cam. I think the dash cam footage is pretty good. My wife thinks it could be better, but all things considered, I think it's pretty good. I took some pictures of the actual camera footage so you can see it, and I'll throw that in here. The still photos in this video and the size of the screen. The only functions I use it for are dash cam and GPS, and you know, there's just no such thing as a perfect GPS for truckers. This thing wasn't cheap. It was, I have to look at my receipt, but it was like $550, and I really hesitated before I got it. It was supposed to be the greatest thing out there, and blah 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 blah. It works well, but it also doesn't work well. So it's just a crapshoot. I'm a firm believer in using as many GPS tools as you can. I use Apple Maps, I use Google Maps, I use Google Earth, and then I use this. And I specifically wanted this GPS for truck routes, because there's nothing worse than turning down a road and all of a sudden seeing a sign, no trucks allowed. And you can't back up, as you know, especially if you've got 10-foot spread axles like me. It could be a while before you can back up, and you know, you don't want to get a ticket heading down that road. And for some dumb reason, they always put the sign about 50 to 100 yards on the road that you've already turned on, not always telling you before you turn. So I thought this. One thing I noticed in outside of Kansas City, Missouri, I was on a highway that I was allowed to be on, and the GPS said I was not allowed to be on. So I just ignored it. I went with Apple, and I saw a sign, and sure enough, trucks were allowed. So it's not always 100% accurate, but it helps. It aids you. It's easy to use. There are addresses that I pull up on Apple or Google that don't come up on it. So again, cross-reference, use all 3, 4, 5, whatever you got. I do have a good road atlas, an actual manual book that every great once in a while I have to use. But with these tools, they do complement one another, and I find that it's an added tool, basically. Is it worth the $550? Well, that depends. If you don't have a dash camera and you don't have a GPS, then I would say yes, it is. I think it's easy to use. For the dash camera setting, for example, if you're driving down the highway and let's say you come up on a wreck, all you have to say is voice command and then save video, and it saves like a minute and a half before and a minute and a half after. So it's always recording, but it will only save it if there's an incident or you specifically tell it to save it. Last night, I'll show you the video, and again, my windshield was pretty bug covered, so we'll see how the video turns out, but there was a truck on fire on the side of the road, and the camera caught it. And so I'll show you that nighttime footage here. Voice command. Save video. But, you know, main thing, dash camera for me, people cutting me off, pulling out in front of me, and God forbid if I hit somebody, I just want to be covered as best as I can. And so that was a benefit for me. The GPS with truck routing was a huge benefit for me. And so even though it's not perfect, it wound up being worth it. Now, if you already have a dash camera and it works great, then I would say definitely not. Spend less money, buy a truck routing GPS for, you know, $250 or what have you. And vice versa. If you already have the GPS, then just buy you a decent little dash cam. They've certainly come down in price, and they are an expense out of pocket, but I can't tell you how much they'll save your butt. I know a couple of months ago, my wife and I were in bumper-to-bumper traffic in Houston. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon, and we went down a downhill grade, and we were going 5 miles an hour. We weren't going fast, but as we went down the hill, there was an oil slick. Literally, a crude oil tanker had lost his whole load going down this little hill in the city limits of Houston. And I hit my brakes and I just barely tapped the car. And there was barely a little scratch on my truck. There was one little dent on the car, and it was an Uber driver. A Haji Uber driver. Shouldn't say that, but it is what it is. And he had about 10 million dents all over his trunk. I mean, top, bottom, everything. So, fortunately, on camera, we caught the crude oil tanker pulling over on the side of the road, basically getting out, looking back, seeing what he had caused, shut the valve on his tanker, and took off. Well, over the next couple of hours, there was probably close to 15 accidents in that little quarter-mile area that we were in. And because we were a commercial vehicle, I had to wait for the police. It took about 3.5 hours for them to arrive. Because there was no injuries, and it just is, you know, it was rush hour and it was Houston. But that video, even though the cops couldn't make out the plate on the tanker truck or the name of the company, they were able to clearly watch him pull over, shut the valves, look back at all the accidents he'd caused, and get in and haul off. So because of that, I got no citation, no fault. Huge in commercial vehicle. I mean, I can't tell you how that would have changed things for me if I had been found at fault for tapping that car. Now, of course, at the scene, the guy was okay. He had 2 passengers, an elderly couple from Pennsylvania. Super nice people. They were like, oh my gosh, you're so professional, your video and everything. And of course, I did my bumper and, you know, his car and everything else, and showed where the point of impact was. And he came back and said basically that every dent across the back of his car was my fault, which was ridiculous, because except for the one, there was nothing on there that my truck couldn't have even done. And then he claimed some stiffness of neck in that 5-mile-an-hour little push that we had. And my insurance company, you know, says, we're paying this guy $7,400. And I said, well, I don't care what you do, as long as it doesn't go against my record or affect my insurance, because I was not at fault. And I sent them video and everything else. And even though the company paid, I did not have to pay anything out of pocket. My premium was not affected. My policy wasn't affected. And so, major importance for a dash cam. You know, if you're driving stupid, it could definitely go against you in court, I'm sure. But you know, most of us out here are just responsible, trying to make a living, and things like this really cover your butt when these cars cut you off and you're heading down a hill at, you know, 80,000 pounds or what have you. And the map side is great. Obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. But anyhow, my quick little view on the Garmin Dēzl Cam 785 LMT. Just thought I'd share that with you. I've had it for about a month and a half, 2 months maybe, and just always important to have a good GPS, good dash cam. So hope you like that, and if you like my videos, please subscribe. If you want to be notified of future, ring the bell. I'm going to go ahead and make my little camp for the night, take a shower, and fix something to eat. Y'all have a great day.